So we thought it was noteworthy that the Minnesota Vikings, even though their offensive line was very poopy last year, Kirk Cousins had a career high in sacks and pressures and still did the damn thing, that the Vikings and general manager Kwesi adofo-mensah didn't invest any significant free agent capital in the offensive line group. Same thing with draft capital, 0 draft picks along the offensive line. And what was going to happen? What was going to happen up front? And yes, continuity and knocking down all the wood health would help win the day, but Kwesi's got some moves. He's got some moves. He's got an ace up his sleeve, and that ace could be the ace of clubs in one Dalton Risner, Mike Kliss, the Kliss commander of the Denver sports area. Let's go. Per source, former Broncos starting left guard Dalton Risner is visiting with the Minnesota Vikings. Makes sense as Vikings offensive line coach is Chris Cooper, assistant offensive line coach is Justin Riscati. So that they had 3 years of overlap there in the Mile High City. Although it's unfortunate, I should have gone with Thomason's tweet as opposed to Mike Kliss, but it happens, man. And Dalton Risner, if you've been a part of this channel, you know that we've been champing at the bit for Dalton Risner in free agency, and also going way back like chiropractic. I loved him at Kansas State. I wanted the Vikings to draft him. He ended up being a second-round pick by the stupid Denver Broncos, and I think he has a lot of talent. It's very interesting. So Dalton Risner was seen as a top guard in free agency when it opened back in March, and there was no action. Like, there wasn't even any rumors, any conjecture, any visits, any speculation that Risner was imminent to sign with the team, and he just sort of sat there. And there's no waves in the media, and the speculation ran rampant. Was it injuries? Was it something else? Was it concerns? Was he's looking for big money? I don't know. No one really knew. And from what I've seen, this is his first official free agent visit in going to be August. Kind of crazy, man. But let's talk about Dalton Risner today. Background, 28 years young, 6'5", 312, played his college ball at Kansas State. He was a first-team consensus All-American 2018. Played a mix of left tackle, guard, and center during his time with the Wildcats. He was 2019 second-round pick by the Broncos. Started 62 games over 4 seasons, all of them at left guard. And he's got good punch. He's got good bounce, proficient in outside zone, blocking in the run game, very solid in pass protection as well. Last year, he had a 72.6 PFF pass blocking grade, which is 19th in the league. For reference, Ezra was 40th, and Ed Ingram was 49th among qualifying guards. Also, going back to Kirk Cousins having a career high in sacks with 46 and pressures 263 last year. For reference, Ezra and Ed Ingram, the Vikings' 2 starting guards last year, combined for 118 of those pressures and 16 of those sacks allowed, which is not good. It's no bueno. And SpotRack estimates Dalton Risner's market value at $9.5 million per season. I don't necessarily see him getting a big money deal at this stage. Otherwise, I think there would have been more demand. I think this is a spot where maybe Risner and his agent were waiting things out, playing a little bit of musical chairs, but eventually the music runs out. As teams get farther along in camp, they're solidifying their rosters. The cap has already been spent. So I could easily see this as potentially a 1-year sort of a prove-it deal on a very cheap contract. And the Vikings offensive line, so there's a couple reasons to bring a guy like Dalton Risner in. Number one, Chris Reed, the veteran backup guard, is on the non-football injury list. Vadarian Lowe went down on Saturday with an injury. So the Vikings have a couple of injuries to some backups, as well as, Ezra Cleveland is in a contract year, former second-round pick. So this could be a spot where it's extended audition, and maybe Risner comes in, and maybe he is the backup. Maybe he doesn't supplant Ezra Cleveland at left guard right away, although I think that even though we're a week into training camp in a fair fight and a fair competition, I think that given that Dalton Risner has played his entire 4-year career at left guard, the fact that he has 3 years of overlap with current Vikings offensive line coach Chris Cooper and assistant Justin Riscati, and the fact that Ezra Cleveland, who I like a lot, although he's meant to play left tackle in this league. Remember, they drafted him to be the left tackle of the future, and then they picked up Darisaw in the draft the year after, and then they just jammed him in at left guard because he's one of the top 5 offensive linemen. But I think as a true guard, I think Risner could overtake Ezra Cleveland if it is indeed an open competition. I think Ed Ingram improved enough at the end of last season to keep his right guard spot, as well as, he was a second-round pick by the current GM. And also factor in that Kwesi didn't draft Ezra Cleveland. I think that has a big part of it too. But, it could be a spot where Kwesi waited out his guy. Maybe the Vikings had interest in Risner all along. Maybe they had contact with the agent throughout the offseason, and all of a sudden, it's like, hey, let's get this thing going, man. So Kwesi playing 5D underwater chess while everyone else is playing checkers and eating glue and sniffing glue. That's right, man. But your thoughts are thoughts. The Vikings are set to host top free agent guard Dalton Risner for a visit. Let's go. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skull Production Value.